Okay, let's kick things off with a big number, $260,000. That is exactly what one single hour of unplanned downtime costs the average industrial manufacturer. Think about that. The second a machine stops without warning, the financial bleeding just starts pouring, and man, the stakes for your operation literally couldn't be higher.
Welcome to this explainer. When you take that massive hourly cost and spread it across the entire globe, the manufacturing sector is losing an estimated $50 billion every single year. $50 billion. And that's just the unexpected equipment failures alone. So today, we're going to dive deep into why this keeps happening and, more importantly, exactly how we can fix it.
All right, here's our game plan for today. We're going to cover 1. The real cost of downtime. 2. The tech cure illusion. 3. The 4 hidden villains. 4. The 4-stage roadmap. And finally, number 5, the CMMS Foundation. Let's jump right in.
Section 1. The real cost of downtime, beyond the surface. We really need to unpack what actually makes up this massive financial drain.
Look, if you ask most managers, they can instantly rattle off the direct costs of a breakdown, right? A busted pump, expensive overtime labor, emergency shipping fees. But the real number, it's actually much darker. Those indirect, hidden costs completely dwarf the obvious repairs. Think about the severe quality defects that suddenly spike after a machine restarts from thermal cycling, or those brutal financial penalties from a customer for missing a delivery window. These hidden layers accumulate incredibly fast, often exceeding your direct costs by a factor of 2 to 3. It's wild.
And honestly, here is the $50 billion elephant in the room. As we sit here in 2026, even after literally decades of pouring money into predictive tech and fancy digital tools, a staggering 79% of manufacturers still report recurring unplanned downtime. Something structural is clearly broken here. And, spoiler alert, it is definitely not the machines.
To really understand what's broken, we need to look at this data from the Aberdeen Group. Best-in-class manufacturers, they are boasting planned maintenance ratios of over 90%. But your average performers are sitting way down below 55%. To put that into perspective, that's a massive 35-point gap. And it's not because the winners just bought better sensors. It's actually a management systems gap. They treat maintenance as a core, absolutely crucial production discipline, not just some reactive support function that waits around for things to break.
Which leads us perfectly into Section 2, the tech care illusion, and exactly why sensors just aren't enough. I get it. It's incredibly tempting to try and just buy your way out of downtime with the latest digital tools. But there's this quote that hits the nail on the head. The problem is not a lack of tools. It is a chronic failure to operationalize maintenance knowledge. You can literally install all the condition monitoring and vibration sensors in the world. But if you don't turn that historical data into repeatable, system-driven routines, your production lines are still going to halt without warning.
Moving on to Section 3, the 4 hidden villains. These are the structural root causes of downtime.
Here's the truth. Unplanned downtime is almost never random. In fact, practically nobody wants to talk about these 4 repeating culprits. We've got inadequate failure mode mapping, never-ending work order backlogs, disconnected spare parts inventory, and this terrible habit of ignoring chronic failures in favor of dramatic ones. Let's go ahead and dismantle these one by one.
Villain number 1 is basically the domino effect of deferred maintenance. If your plant has a persistent backlog to workforce ratio above 3 to 1, that is a glaring red flag. That means you've got more than 3 weeks of work stacked up for every 1 week of actual team capacity. All those known defects are just piling up, practically guaranteeing future equipment failures. It's like a ticking time bomb.
Villain number 2 revolves around this totally shocking number, 42%. A survey by Plant Engineering found that 42% of unplanned downtime events involve simply waiting for parts. Not waiting for technicians, waiting for parts. That is a massive inventory management failure. Imagine you're staring at a halted multi-million-dollar machine just because a $10 component is understocked. Or, even worse, you're overstocked on the completely wrong parts.
Then we have the psychological villain, which is how we actually view failures. Sporadic failures are dramatic, they're sudden, and they always command management's immediate attention. But chronic failures? The frequent brief little stops, like a line that loses maybe 2% efficiency every shift, we tend to normalize them. We completely ignore them. But make no mistake, those silent, cumulative losses are what actually destroy your overall equipment effectiveness over time.
So to defeat these villains, you absolutely have to measure success accurately. You need a rock-solid grip on your MTBF. That's mean time between failures, which is exactly how long an asset runs before breaking down. You also need to track your MTTR, mean time to repair, which is how fast your team can get it running again once it stops. Beating downtime means you're actively managing both sides of the coin, preventing the failure in the first place and recovering blazingly fast when it actually does happen.
Okay, so how do we systematically fix this whole mess? That's Section 4, the 4-stage roadmap. This is essentially a data maturity journey.
Making this shift from reactive to predictive maintenance isn't an overnight thing. It typically takes about 18 to 36 months, and you absolutely cannot skip steps here. Step 1, you have to capture clean failure history on every single work order. Step 2, optimize your preventative maintenance based on that actual history. Step 3, introduce condition-based sensors to trigger work orders based on baselines. And finally, Step 4, operations must own the reliability KPIs. Listen, if you skip the historical data in Step 1 and just jump straight to advanced sensors in Step 3, your expensive tech is going to topple over because it has no actionable context. Sequence is literally everything here.
And that brings us to Section 5, the CMMS Foundation, and choosing the sweet spot.
To build that 4-stage roadmap, you need a foundational platform, a computerized maintenance management system, or CMMS. But which one do you go with? Well, lightweight SaaS tools usually lack the asset hierarchy depth you need for true industrial complexity. But then on the other extreme, those heavy enterprise asset management suites are super cumbersome, way too slow, and they totally drain your IT resources. The real solution is finding that middle ground. Man-Win-Win CMMS operates as that perfectly structured, scalable operational sweet spot precisely because it's tailored for actual manufacturing realities.
And the really cool part is how Man-Win-Win's specific capabilities directly neutralize those root causes we were just talking about. By mapping your asset hierarchy directly to failure modes, you finally fix those generic, ineffective schedules. By integrating spare parts management right in with your maintenance history, you end the nightmare of waiting around for critical parts. And with real-time KPI dashboards for your MTBF and MTTR, you finally drive that crucial operations ownership. It just brings the entire solution full circle.
Look, at the end of the day, unplanned downtime is not a technology problem. It is a management systems problem. So I want to leave you with this final thought to really challenge your own 2026 strategy. Is your maintenance team constantly running around chasing dramatic failures, or are they actively engineering them out of existence? Think about it. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.